I will share some of my speaking activities that I find quite effective in my classes. I have 5 different speaking activities. And the first one is interview the picture. In this activity, I generally use some of the pictures, some famous people's pictures, and show it to students, sometimes Bill Gates, because most of the students know him well. And students look at the picture and they write questions for the person in the picture. For example, they write question to Bill Gates, and one of the students comes to the front and the rest of the class ask their questions to the student. And the student has to pretend to the person in the picture and try to give answer to the questions. The student has to imagine how the character might answer these questions. It might be fun in the classrooms, and I generally use this activity for double H questions or yes-no questions. Yes, sometimes double H and yes-no questions. And the second one is what happens next. In this activity, I use it for models of probability, or sometimes I use it in writing as well. I try to find a short video, it's like 2 or 3 minutes, related to the topic of the unit. And while the students are watching the video, I stop it halfway through and want the students to guess the rest of the video or imagine what happens next. And then they make suggestions about the rest of the video. After that, you may want them to write or create the rest of the video. And the third one, it is like the IELTS speaking part. In this part, I give a situation or a discussion topic for the students. I take these questions from the Speak House DVD part. At first, students read the questions and they take notes for 1 minute. I distribute cards to students and they take notes. They just write the words, not the full sentence. Write, for example, Kayseri, Mantı, or other things, not the full sentence. After 1 minute, they talk about it. They talk about the questions. If you want, you can pair the students, or if you want, you can make groups 3 or 4. It is up to you. But we have a rule in this activity. Thanks to Richard, I use this rule while they are speaking, while they are talking to each other. I have yellow card and red cards. If they speak Turkish, I show, or they will get a yellow card. And if they speak Turkish again, if they will do it again, they will get a red card. As a result of red cards, we have different kind of punishments. In each class, at the beginning of the semester, we decide on the punishments, some different punishments, and we do it if they get a red card. And not to get a red card, they don't want to speak Turkish. It might be a solution.
What kind of punishments do you have?
For the participation grades, or T for the class, some different punishments. It's not the class, it's different in each class. And at the beginning of the semester, while I'm doing this activity, I use some key phrases because it might be difficult for the students to speak for 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So these key phrases might help them. I can take this part from the DVD parts. Or if you don't want to do this activity, if you want to do this activity as a whole class, you can do it more enjoyable. I sometimes use it if I want to do it as a whole class activity. Students, I want them to choose one of these letters, for example, let's say this one. And the student and talk for a minute about his or her last vacation. And then we go back and talk for a minute about your favorite food. It might be sometimes enjoyable as a whole class activity.
So is it one person speaking in front of the class?
Yeah.
Do they have to come up?
In this game, no pair, no group. But for the previous one, yeah, we have pairs.
I think they even have in front of them. Otherwise,
This is the last activity, and I think the most effective one. My students like this activity very much, and especially before the oral quizzes, we do it a lot. Every Wednesday, and the morning they do the chairs like that in the class. In this activity, I pair the students as student A and student B. They take their chairs and come to the front. They put their chairs like that. Student A sits here, all of the students, and student B sit there. And student A's turn their back to the screen. Student B's turn their faces to the screen. And student A's don't see the questions. I write the questions, I prepare the questions from the book. Student B's read the questions to student A's one by one, loudly. And student B's have to listen the question and try to understand, and then come up with an answer. And when the color of the questions change, this time they swap their roles. Student A's ask their questions to student B's. And this activity, all of the students have a chance to talk about the questions. And maybe they have to listen and they have to understand. It might be a good preparation before the oral quiz. It might be helpful. And that's all.